Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're looking at Coffeezilla's continuing deep dive into the Rabbit R1 and just how much of a scam it was. First time around, he established that everything the CEO said was at best disingenuous, at worst actively lying to people to get money, which I would never expect someone in a tech bro style environment to do that. That is the least possible thing I can imagine. More importantly, you guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up and let's get started.
This tech company gaslit me so hard about their previous scam that I decided to investigate their current project, Rabbit, and what I...
Oh, because they lied to him when he asked him about that's what the previous information was. And they just spent the video going over, hey, here's what they said and here's what they actually did.
Found was shocking. For months, we've been promised that this orange box, the Rabbit R1, has an AI inside of it called Lamb that can organize your life, text your friends, restock your fridge. All you had to do was ask.
Start my morning routine. Order me an Uber and...
Can I just point out right now that blurring the box makes this look significantly worse? We know it's the rabbit. We've already seen it's the rabbit, but when it's blurred like this... Yeah.
Find me a good podcast to pass the time. Oh, and tell everybody that I might be late.
That was delicious. Check the fridge and order the ingredients to make that again tomorrow.
Now, based on marketing like this, they pre-sold over $20 million worth of these, and they raised another $30 million in venture capital.
Wait. I'm sorry. That is actually the ad that got all the venture capital to invest in it. People talking in a box and assuming it worked well. No product demonstrations, no stats, no hardware, no reveal of how they work. Just, hey, I'm saying something. That's just... I was under the impression that the investor reviews, the statements of what the videos and what everything was going to be able to do was backed up by some at least fake information to make it sound plausible. But if that ad is actually the main sales pitch, it's just generally attractive people from multiple backgrounds who all look moderately wealthy, which is the only people who would buy this, saying things into a device that I'm hoping wasn't blurred out in the actual ad because that looks even dumber. And then just saying a bunch of random things while making direct eye contact with the camera. That is... how? That's just... Maybe I don't understand marketing. Maybe that's a genius move because it weighs... Oh, I can't speak today. It weighs $20 million. Just... I don't... Are we reaching the point where even though this is probably a scam, the people who invested in it are so dumb that they might deserve it? I don't know yet, but it's kind of leaning that way.
Only to have MKBHD say, yeah, the product's not that great. But I bought this thing to answer a different question. Not is it good or bad.
Is it just an app in a fake frame?
Is the AI, the Lamb, a scam? Well, we're going to find out.
I know it doesn't work at all.
Just trying to recreate their ad with this thing. Start my morning routine.
See, that's the thing. You could redo the ad. You just need to fake everything because you never see anything actually working. You just have voiceovers.
To start your morning routine, you might consider tasks like waking up, freshening up, having breakfast, and planning your day.
You know, I'm going to say something that's probably going to get me in trouble, considering this is a Google and Alphabet-owned platform. As horrible as that response is, and as obscenely stupid and obvious it is, it's still better than Google's current addition to search, where their AI tells people to eat rocks and put glue into pizza. It's heavily cited. There's a lot of places you can find out. I wish this was a joke. Rabbit has unscammed itself because the competition got worse. We are living in the absolute dumbest timeline, aren't we?
How can I assist you further with your morning routine?
Order me breakfast.
The DoorDash Rabbit is under maintenance. Sorry for
It knows what DoorDash is.
And please come back later.
Tell everyone I'm going to be late.
I recommend informing the relevant parties directly about your delay.
Admittedly, that's actually way better because if they actually sent out an automated message, you would tell this guy to go fuck off.
Yeah, but no, you do it.
I mean, it's still a scam, but...
I'm unable to directly communicate with others on your behalf.
Because
That
it
was
doesn't
delicious.
connect to any devices or
Check
have
the
a cellular
fridge
access.
And order the ingredients so I can make it tomorrow.
Nope.
The DoorDash Rabbit is under maintenance.
Didn't even ask for DoorDash.
It basically failed at everything. But remember, our question is not, is it good or bad? The question is, does the LAM, the AI, the large action model, does the secret sauce of this thing exist? Because the founder and CEO claims it's here on your device now. He claims LAM is a system that can infer and model human actions on computer applications.
So it's just a large language model that they probably ripped from the source code of any other website.
Or
hell, they probably copied over directly.
We use LAM to bring AI from words to action.
Right. This AI is supposed to do things on your behalf.
Wait. That looks like Spotify, a banking website. I don't know which one that would be. Different banking website because it has the... No, this is an airline website. LAX would be Los Angeles. POX, I have no idea. That's probably banking. That's probably airline. And that I can barely make out. I wonder if they were actually trying to get other businesses to buy into it so they would have functionality, and then they just dropped the ball because all the businesses looked at it and went, this is dumb. Admittedly, it is. The crazy part is, if everything I just said is true, this wouldn't be a scam then. It would be incompetence. And that's actually really important because as bad as this is, and I think that's been well established, Marquise Brownlee and a lot of other tech creators have done that. Hell, Coffeezilla just demonstrated the very simplest and obvious way that it is dumb. But if they were reaching for the stars and failed, but they actually made the attempt and they didn't put those functionalities in because of that, this is something they could probably get sued for civilly to get costs back because the advertising didn't live up. They were basically not doing everything they could. But it wouldn't be a scam then. That is a very important dividing line because a scam is monetary damages plus potentially jail, where a civil action is just monetary at the most. It is a very big difference when you're in this setting and money is just a price of doing business and crime is literally just a tax you pay after the fact. I hate some of the things they say. I really do.
To action.
Right. This AI is supposed to do things on your behalf. And so
now, did they ever make the attempt though?
Like this,
where someone's planning a trip,
it does look like it
looks like they were expecting to tie it into something.
AI clicking through Airbnb by itself, and it all kind of felt like the future. It's why people ordered $20 million worth of these little boxes.
I mean, it's $20 million for something you could already do on your phone, which you already have. I've heard some people say, well, yeah, but this way we don't make a tech waste because it has its own functional body that won't really need to change. And I'm just going to look at you going, yeah, or you could just get a phone that you already have. And then you don't need to buy an extra device because you already have it. That's just me.
But a group investigation has revealed that Rabbit is not actually using a new foundational AI model at all.
Shocking.
It's actually ChatGPT with some hard-coded scripts.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Jesse says Rabbit is faster than ChatGPT.
I'm going to say something that I know is bullshit, but I hate. A way you could do devil's advocate for this is because we have these hard-coded scripts that need to be said for business purposes, which is a very valid reason considering a lot of businesses, people have hard-coded scripts that they're told to read or else. It's easier to get the or else as just you will on an AI. And they can make the joke, or what turned into a joke, that it's faster because it just goes defaulting to these specific scripts. And if the script then came with a prompt to make a connection to a partnered app through a Wi-Fi connection, it would be possible to do a lot of what they're saying. It really does just rely on having the buy-in from other companies, allowing their software, their web applications to directly tie into this device.
You will also
I wonder if anyone did and then backed out.
It's much faster.
I really hope he gets someone on the inside to talk about this.
Web browsing, such as ChatGPT.
Now that's a very sneaky claim when most of your product is ChatGPT, so obviously not faster. But you wouldn't know that because part of Rabbit's prompt is, quote, I will never mention I am a large language model created by OpenAI. In fact, I've seen a lot of prompt dialogues in videos by Doug, who does a lot of work on AI. He does so many videos just exploiting the bugs in them
or more specifically, actively creating them because it's funny. So I hate everything I'm about to say, because this is not something I want to say to defend this company, but having that prompt in there is probably a good idea, because it would be devastating to them if this wasn't a scam, or hell, if it is either way, it would be devastating for someone to get the AI to say, I am ChatGPT. I was made by OpenAI. Because you could do that. You can gaslight AI so easily, because they're not truly AI as we think about it. They're not sentient or cognizant. They are word prediction programs that just see links and then bring up what we want. Just think Google, but instead of giving us options, they give us the top option as a sentence. It's just a predictive keyboard, way better because it has a huge body of work stolen from a lot of places that didn't give consent, which is why it's probably based on OpenAI, because they stole the most. Yeah. But because of that inherent flexibility, because it is inherently not understanding what it's saying, if you don't put those guidelines down, it would be easy for someone who just wants to shoot the project in the foot to go spend time, dig into the AI, and eventually get it to say, I am based on ChatGPT and OpenAI built me. Now, it's true, but also it's not a bad thing in general business practices. Okay, that's devil advocate over. Real thoughts? Oh yeah, no, of course, they stole the shit out of this. But considering OpenAI is built on also stealing the shit out of other people's stuff, I mean, I'm not exactly going to call fair on that one, but it's not foul either.
The part where they do use a different AI is really only search, which is why Jesse very carefully says Rabbit is faster than ChatGPT with web browsing. That's the only part of this device where they don't really use ChatGPT for it. But they don't use their AI model either. They use a different off-the-shelf AI called Perplexity. So it's extremely misleading to say Rabbit is faster than ChatGPT, because most of the product is ChatGPT, but it just can't tell you that because it's instructed not to.
Yep.
Now that we understand this, let's talk about the actual process of how Rabbit does more than search and is supposed to get things done for you. You might think it's a sophisticated AI, but actually what Rabbit does when you call an Uber or order DoorDash is it takes your question, puts it into ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, and if it's something like play a song on Spotify, it will use hard-coded scripts to navigate websites like Spotify. And those scripts are not AI. This is super important. This is the part where they say, yeah, we've got this new foundational AI model thing that does the thing. No.
I hate how I'm defending this company on this one. Yes, it's a lie. Everything they said is a lie. But every single bit of what people believe AI is also wrong. The vast majority of it isn't artificial intelligence. It's people just using programming still and adding a layer of veneer because it sounds good for investors. Again, I think this is taking it to the extreme where it's just veneer, no substance. But they're not doing it badly. When you don't need to have a very complicated program to do what a simple program could do itself. Well, AI is a big, complicated one. Just a quick script to filter what you want already is a very simple one. It just requires language recognition, which is what ChatGPT became very good at, to some extent, to get that part down, and then just run through existing programs that we've had for the long time. As horrible as I think they are, the basic helper models on a lot of phones for the last decade have had similar functionality to some level of success. The sum being actually recognizing what you're asking. If they use ChatGPT for that function and then kept everything else, it's not bad. That said, this is, again, all substance, no, I guess beef is the rest of that metaphor? Whatever.
No.
But it's not unusual.
Pressing the button
this is a common lie, though.
Intelligent. Rabbit is using a platform called Playwright.
Yeah, but the AI is also not intelligent. It's just language recognition based on a huge data set.
Which is a web automation tool.
Doesn't actually know what it's saying. It's a Chinese box. Words come in, words go out.
And we know this because of several researchers who got access to part of Rabbit's code base. I worked with them. I'll link them below.
And I
spoke with one of them, Emily Shepard, to understand why this distinction, AI, not AI, matters.
This is quite a big deal because the way LAM has been observed to work doesn't match with what.
And that is probably the part that's interesting. The way it's demonstrated shows how they were trying to sell it. This is probably the first thing that I would say doesn't have a devil's advocate moment. If the devil's advocate was going to go off right now, it would be something along the lines of, ooh, look, a shiny brick wall, a distraction you should pay attention to. Because this is actually damning, distinctly different. Even if the way they're actually doing it is literally the most common way to run AI. It is bad, but it's a bad that almost everyone in this space is doing who isn't directly developing AI. You see it a lot in so many random places that do not have anything to do with AI, but they suddenly have AI products because they just rebranded the freaking algorithms they use.
What they've told us about how it works. It's meant to be an AI live controlling a website and understanding that website.
Did she just unironically say AI live controlling something? I know what they mean, but it's just one of those phrases that if I heard that like even 5 years ago, I'd be like, what is wrong with this person? Now it makes sense, and I don't know if that's better or worse.
What they have is just a bunch of static commands. You know, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is if a user interface changes, the website changes, it can't cope with that. So
so it's a specific design based on that integration. Oh, I wonder if they actually had that as the problem that made everything break, because things updated over the time, and when they came out, the updates broke everything. Maybe they did have that integration already that I thought they might have just been turned down on. Considering this company is probably a flat-out scam, they probably never asked and just put in the integration to start with.
So anytime Spotify redesigns their user interface, or anytime DoorDash redesigns something, or even if an advert pops up in a new location.
Oh, it's that? So a single pop-up, essentially, even if it's in a scripted location, would be enough to throw this off. So if they trained it on a model without ads, it would inherently break constantly. It almost seems like what they should have done is just had one controlling AI recognizing the new changes to a form, and everyone else working through the prompts, because that would be so much less intensive, and the AI would have to do so much less work. What could be then done with basic prompts to run through a menu.
Or there's a captcha
still a lie, but
or something
actually
unexpected happens that isn't in that very rigid step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. A flat, hard-coded Playwright script can't cope with that. And that is the opposite of some intelligent AI actually being able to understand the page, which is the claim that had been made.
That's right. Obviously, there's a big difference between AI, not AI. Jesse himself knows the difference and made it clear LAM wouldn't break like a hard-coded script would.
It doesn't really matter if a app completely revamped the UI.
Oh, he flat out said that? Okay, this is one of the times where everything else that's been on record has been scam adjacent, just bad marketing, overselling. That, though, I'm not sure if it would be enough to trip it from civil to criminal, but it is very much in the you are going to lose money category for this on record.
If a app completely revamped
this
the
is
UI.
completely misrepresenting it.
Got it. So when Spotify redoes its app and it moves podcasts from tabs, and then it puts the tabs at the lower part or puts it in a hamburger drop down, it still knows that's the word podcast, and that's where you find podcasts inside of Spotify.
Nope,
exactly,
apparently.
because the fundamental philosophy logic is that all.
Also, can we just take a moment to look at this entire room he's in? He's got Amazon boxes opened up with the foam still in them, other things in the background. He looks like he's in a sweatshop that hasn't been set up yet.
All these modern software are designed for human eyes to perceive the information, and they have to have a setting somewhere.
Right. Of course, if this were AI, it would adapt to the user interface changes, but it's not.
Hell, you can do that on I can't speak today. General programming that just do a word search within the files themselves for the AI, or not even the AI script, but the script for the channel, website, whatever itself, because that would be in the metadata. I'm using the word metadata because I don't do coding. I've just been told this is something they could do. Followed by the person trying to demonstrate swearing when it didn't work like they thought, and saying some things that I'm pretty sure if I repeated on YouTube would get my channel into some significant hot water that I'm not going to say for that very reason. Programmers scare me, man. I stand by that. And specifically as far away as possible now that I think about it. That's probably safer.
Which is why when apps that Rabbit supports change, they stop working. As people noticed in videos, in Discord, even I noticed it while testing this device. DoorDash
so some things did
stopped
work.
working, presumably because of another UI change.
The DoorDash Rabbit is under maintenance.
Now, today, Rabbit actually admits that they use Playwright, but they're not willing to admit that Lamb, whatever it is not really doing a lot. Jesse responds, to say Lamb is just Playwright is equal to say ChatGPT is just a chat. We use Playwright as part of a...
I mean, ChatGPT is just a chat. It's a large language model that has a lot of interfaces that can pull up information, but it is just a chat function that can respond back. Sometimes better than others. Sometimes really not, but technically it is just a chat. It's not wrong. It's simplistic, which is probably what he's implying.
Lamb. That doesn't mean the research and technology is fake. So,
ooh, see that doesn't mean research and technology is fake. It's a very damning line. And that doesn't quite trip the criminal from civil side, but that is very much in the it will be supporting evidence side. Let me give you an idea what I'm talking about. Specifically saying the research is fake, the technology is fake, and then putting the negative on there means that if the research and the technology is not actually being researched, if they can get people to go on the record from the company or show that it was never a thing, because, I mean, this is a scam, is what it looks like heavily at this point, I would not be surprised if the technology side was smoke and mirrors like much of the rest of it is. And it's not a horrible product on its own. It's just a really dumb product right now. It's being sold by someone who's great at marketing, horrible at actually producing. So, con artist. But this is a claim that's very important because this is something in writing. It's Discord, so it's not the best option, but it's a way that technically counts as in writing from, I think he's the CEO, but from Jesse, that can be held against him. Statements said out loud in the moment, even the recorded interview, that's bad and that's damning, but it's not nearly as bad as having something in writing. You could say, this is what you said at the moment in writing in your own words that you approved of. You didn't misspeak. You can always say you mistyped, but you could always have the edit function going. And if it's still like that, it's still like that. And if you delete it, that's even more damning.
Fake.
That's a point in
what they're saying is
other things
Lamb
though.
Is not these hard-coded scripts, but kind of they also admit these scripts exist. Maybe Lamb interacts with the scripts, maybe they create them.
So far, it's still
even
just
if that's true, it's not
sue
what
the guy
they
as the
promised.
option.
Either way, everything that matters on this device is basically off-the-shelf software. The web actions are done by hard-coded scripts. Everything else is done by ChatGPT or Perplexity.
Yep.
So there's not much reason for the Lamb to do anything, whatever it actually does.
And if it worked, that would be fine. Off the shelf, base level, get it easy is not a bad option. And people will buy that for convenience rather than doing it themselves because convenience is a selling factor. Frankly, the biggest problem now is just that it's being oversold so much. And because investors put millions of dollars in it. Those two factors are the big ones.
And we're already so far from what Jesse originally promised, which
yes.
I have to show you again. He kept saying was AI, not a script that would be doing all these actions for you.
We have a superhost computer that when Jason talks to his Rabbit R1 about ordering a hamburger from DoorDash, what's going on is that we first see if Jason's logging with DoorDash or logging with Uber Eats, right? And we saw, okay, Jason chose DoorDash, and then on that superhost, a Lamb is interacting virtually with a DoorDash app or website.
Oh. You know, this is one of those things where I'm actually suddenly glad this is a scam, because what he's saying is, if this wasn't a scam, if this was real, they would have taken a direct line to everyone who had this into their devices, into their accounts, with account permissions on a single host server or server farm. So they're mostly connected. If this wasn't a scam and they actually had it all within the host, or God help us if that's the part that turns out to be real. That is a data privacy nightmare. Because I don't put much faith in this company's ability to not cut corners or do things. So the data security here is, if I had bought this device right now, I would be quickly destroying it and changing every password it could have possibly had access to. Because even if it gets outdated, the previous data is still there. The login, the username, the metadata, to even get into the account, the permissions, that would still be viable. They're just one data breach away, one dumbass getting an email with a link that they're not aware of, or God help them, someone more sophisticated gets in the viruses that are loaded in and give access through a loading of an image within an email, which is not the most common, but a thing that happens. And they just lose all that data. Every one of their admittedly probably rather wealthy clientele, making them a much bigger target, become spear phishing targets because every single one of them now have a lot of data compromised. I think this is more whaling than phishing. Because their clientele is inherently wealthy, because this is an inherently wealthy product for people who have way too much money than sense. So the people who would actually have these devices would have permissions that probably link to accounts way more expensive than what this is worth. So for the cost of the attack, if for some reason you bought this, you gave it permission to anything, you better hope it is broken right now.
Site, a interface. And you don't see all of
Some
that
places
because
do this.
all of a
You
sudden
trust
this
the
is
security.
done all at
You should
once
not trust the
because
security in
it's
this
AI.
thing.
He couldn't be clearer. The lamb is interacting because it's AI. This is a flat out lie.
And that's
at least currently,
actually better.
He says the lamb is here now. Now, I reached out over and over to the Rabbit team, pressing them again and again on this issue. What does the lamb do? And they kept saying, oh, Playwright, yeah, that's the thing, but it's just part of how the lamb controls things. But I kept asking, well, what does that mean? How does this thing exactly work? If the scripts are doing the work, what does
the host
lamb
service
do?
and not within their own
eventually I got to the point where I just questioned, look, is this real? Do you have proof that this lamb can do all these amazing things?
This is the weird time where he's actually going to be doing them a favor by proving that they don't actually have a host computer. If you trusted their service to have adequate web security, maybe it'd be worth it to let them have your info. I don't think that's the case right now.
And I should have known I was going to get into trouble here because Jesse, the CEO, says, anyone challenging the lamb legitimacy, I automatically become super defensive.
Only 15?
And that was true. Here's part of the Rabbit team's response to me. To start off, I would love to know more about your background in tech, because if you are not specialized in AI and machine learning, any conclusion resulting from this conversation will have no real credibility or value.
It's literally pulling out well, you're not an expert in this, so I don't need to explain it to you because you wouldn't understand. Getting over the fact that you could get learning to find out how to word. The only time you can't do that is usually math and English. Everything else, you can kind of piece together.
From any...
The math, because obviously, the English, because most people who believe they can talk really can't. There's a reason technical writers are not people in the field, but people from English major backgrounds.
Audience, because this is a technical discussion in AI and machine learning. We welcome you to invite experts with valid certificates from the field to further look into this.
AI learning doesn't have valid certificates. It's a freaking new... That's the point. This is based on people... He's giving you the, hey, grab this blinker fluid so we can have this conversation about your car parts, because you definitely wouldn't know that car parts require a tremendous amount of blinker fluid. In fact, you didn't even know to ask me about that until I brought it up. You can't be in charge of your own car safety. Give me $1 million to fix your car. It's the old scam line of, I know more than you, so you should give me money. Or in this case, I know more than you, so stop questioning me on things I know the answer to and you don't. Which is also a really good way to say, I don't want to answer, but I also don't want to say that I don't know because it's a lie. It's just challenging what they probably know on it. But the thing is, he's literally saying, no, I'm not telling you shit.
Now look, I found this wild for a company that raised $30 million in venture, sold $20 million in product, to be feisty about questioning their product when it does not work as advertised. And we found out it's using hard-coded scripts instead of AI. how can they be surprised? People are going to question what their thing actually does.
This is not going to be a devil advocate moment because I don't want to do it here. And also, I don't think there's really much of a devil advocate. He's completely spot on. So far, my biggest surprise isn't that he's being defensive. It's that this company and the people in it haven't gone radio silent, taken the money, shut down production, or better yet, abandoned every facility and somehow gone to a non-extraditable location. This seems like exactly what would happen in this situation. Which really just makes me wonder, are they hoping this blows over and they can just move on to the next scam, which is a thing that happens. The biggest advantage a con artist will ever have is people losing interest. Because then they'll forget and they can do it again.
But I also think it's funny they should say that I should invite experts to look into this, because I'm not nearly the first person to point these problems out.
A few experts
Several
have.
people who, as I said, I spoke with, have had issues with this device.
Please
They've looked at the code base. They have also claimed they couldn't find the lamp. Others have jailbroken the R1, got into Rabbit's cloud to play Doom. And
I've actually heard about that. Yeah, it literally is just an Android app.
Despite Rabbit saying they welcome credible critics, their reaction has been anything but welcome.
And the certification is non-existent.
Emily, who we spoke to earlier, pointed out back in January that CAPTCHA would be a big concern for the lamp. And Jesse's response is, sorry, I work for my team. I don't work for you, so you need to check my calendar before you command me to answer anything now.
Ignoring the fact that he literally took the time to answer right now. And even they don't like that response, with the few people who are probably living in his ass because they're on his own Discord.
But fast forward to today, CAPTCHA is a huge problem. In fact,
can I just acknowledge that I'm a little surprised CAPTCHA works? I always figured when we got an AI of any form that could do picture recognition, it would fall apart immediately. No, apparently it's working. Yeah, I did not expect that.
Specifically with Uber, we had to answer 10 different CAPTCHAs, adding up a bunch of dice in order to get it working. It was a giant pain. It took us several tries. I began to wonder if I was actually part robot myself. But the point is, I
mean, theoretically, depending on how you define a robot, biological functions working in tandem to create an overall effective method of transportation and to sustain itself would count as a form of biological robot. So yeah, technically, unless you go strictly on the silicon-based and metal body, in which case it would be different. But we're going to get to the point probably where that is a very important distinction.
Getting defensive about the problem didn't make the problem go away. And the same is true about getting defensive about the lamb. Just because you tell people they have to be an expert to ask you questions won't stop.
And then when you have an expert, they just don't answer the question because it's not their time.
But now I want to take a quick detour into the source code of the Rabbit itself, because I also have reviewed parts of the source code, and I have serious data privacy concerns. There are things in this.
See, I was just worried about a breach of the host service if that was real. If the code itself is inherently unsafe, this is not something I would be able to delve into because, again, I do not program. I do not want to program. It scares the shit out of me. But if he got into that, either with his own understanding or other people's, it could be a lot worse than even I was expecting.
This code base, and I can't share it for reasons that will become obvious, there are things that malicious actors could use to get any access to the replies the R1 has ever given.
The initial assumption someone's going to make is, oh shit, they know everything you asked. That's only half of it. If someone's asking any private information, if they ask about any banking information, if they ask about any location information, and if it timestamps it so you can get a pattern, again, you got to come back to the idea that every single person who buys this is going to have disposable income, is probably independently wealthy or related to a family member who's independently wealthy, and this is a minor kid who got it as a present. In America, depends where you're at, it could be fine. But there's a lot of places, or if you're traveling abroad and someone just happens to ping off that, hey, this person we know the location of because we've got all of their information constantly, and they're now asking about this restaurant in our turf. Kidnapping. You could have cyber attacks. You could have so much going on right here. This is so much personal information to find people, to know their schedule, to know their information, to get their data. And really, the data is the most likely one, is what I would like to say, except this is probably a clientele who is more affluent and therefore probably a better target. So anyone sophisticated enough to do this, they probably still would go for more of the data privacy aspect and just take the information from the banking account, because that would all be compromised if they try and do anything through this. But there are so many worse things that could happen with this much information. You can build a pattern of behavior. You could build a schedule. You can find out where someone lives if they just ask, how do I get from my home to this location? And if the location had ever had them enter it as a response of, hey, can you enter this location as my home? Or they have some access to what home is. And while most of that information is public, this is easier because it's already correlated to who you're looking for.
Now, of course, Rabbit might say they've dedicated a huge picture of a lock on their webpage to privacy. So you might think they're serious about it.
Nope.
But this is the same company that, if you read the fine print, they're tracking your precise geographic location.
Okay, I need to read this location. When you use our service, general information, using your internet protocol, user website, user R1, we collect and use precise geolocation data, GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth signals, which are all correlated. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, because every location has markers to let you find out where everything's at. And then they can triangulate them because Wi-Fi sends out multiple waves, like literally expanding waves. So you can find out where certain ones are originated from with other ones. So you can co-locate them based on finding 3 other ones you know the location of and how far they go, until you narrow it down till you find it hit here, here, and here. Here is the signal, the bandwidth, and you can basically track it back through 3 points of data to see exactly where someone's at when it pings. Same with Bluetooth. GPS, depending on how good the service is, can be incredibly precise, and they don't even need the rest. But this is just extra verification. Hell, you don't even need everything I was worried about, which would be just finding out your pattern of activity. You could just track where someone was at and have a map of every time, every place they were at, and how long they were there and where they moved around. You can find their favorite place to sit in a freaking restaurant. This is such a security breach. Like, legitimately, if anyone in any form of government had this device, they would probably be in trouble for owning it at this point.
And collect that data. The only consolation prize is this thing is shockingly bad at tracking you, which I found out while looking for restaurants.
It is bad at tracking you, but the data in there with someone who's good at reading it is not going to be bad at reading it. That's why I brought up the Wi-Fi stuff. It doesn't have to track you. In fact, it really has no excuse why it's bad at tracking you, because it should be able to just ping off other known locations. Unless it doesn't have the ability to do that, which is something you could probably do easier on the back end if you already had the information to build up that sheet on someone's activities.
Find me a restaurant near here.
Dude, is that actually his house? Or no, it's still green screen. The hair's moving. Yeah.
San Juan
That'd be a really cool house.
and Butter Churn are highly rated restaurants in Port Aransas. For a
I thought they said Arkansas, like San Juan, Arkansas. For all I know, there actually says San Juan, Arkansas.
I'm not in Port Aransas.
Dead.
Let me see what I can find. For restaurants near you in Austin, Texas, consider the following options.
I'm not in Austin!
An Italian restaurant in downtown.
I'm not in Austin, Texas.
I use the internet connection to know where the R1 device is roughly located.
It's going off the server hubs. Okay. So wherever the IP address is registered out of, as opposed to your actual location, which is possible, but they're just taking a shortcut on here, which is, for privacy reasons, probably better, but not intentional, it seems like. So if they ever actually got around to fixing it, which, scam, they won't. It's still a lot of data in there, especially if they can record any other Wi-Fi signals that were received, what ones were turned down, which ones they chose to connect to. There's so much information you could pull from that.
In order to provide you with
You're off by about 100 miles.
Damn. I mean,
thank you for the clarification. Let me refine the search for restaurants in your approximate location.
That is a pretty big circle of 100 miles from where 150 miles from wherever they were at.
Is it gonna do it?
Nope.
Is it gonna do it?
I think you broke it by searching 150 miles from where I thought you were at.
Yeah, I found its GPS to be really bad. Nevertheless, I didn't want to take any chances for my next experiments.
Which is why when I use this thing, I'm not in the $10 million studio at all. I'm in an $100
His studio is how much? Holy shit, man.
motel. Here to show you that once you know the code base, you can make some surprising predictions about what this thing's gonna do. For example, when I tell the rabbit to play anything, you might think that'd be random.
The music going now.
But it's not gonna be. It's gonna be the Beatles.
Is that going through Spotify or because I know the Beatles are or the Beatles estate for the ones who are dead, and the living ones are litigious when it comes to their product, to their songs. Are they just specifically pulling up the files from Spotify or what?
The reason I know
Plays Beatles about 90% of the time in test. Damn.
it's going to do that is because it's hard-coded to do so in their prompting. They say if a user is going to say play anything, they should play
Beatles songs.
The Beatles. Even when you specify, when I say play anything, don't play the Beatles. Got it?
Because you said the words play anything, so it hard-coded to Beatles. There's probably someone in the background who wrote that line going, we know that people are going to buy this are pretentious assholes, so if we play anything, they're going to want something that they can look to everyone and goes like, yeah, see, I'm better than you because I like the Beatles. Which is like saying, yeah, I'm better than you because I like Elvis, or I'm better than you because I like the Rolling Stones. I mean, the last one might be accurate, but still. It's just pretension.
Understood.
Beatles again?
Play anything. It's still
Okay, starting the music player now.
Hey Jude?
another.
At least it's not the same song.
I don't have the copyrights to that, so we'll stop it right there.
I actually have the copyrights to Hey Jude? Oh, shit.
All right, back now in the $10 million studio for real.
His studio's $10 million? Holy shit. Or is that just part of the bit he usually does? I don't know.
No green screen back here. Look, this product is obviously bad. By the way, it's off right now. But again, what really upsets...
Considering it's listening and recording everything you said, and there's a hack to get into that, does the microphone actually turn off? Because that's the problem Alexa ran into, and Amazon definitely didn't take advantage of, where it was always recording what you said and always listening, even when it was off. Or it said it was off because it still had power.
What upsets me is not that it's bad. It's that the core selling point of this product is built on a lie. And that lie is the lamb. They said it was on your device now. It's a new foundational AI. And the reason this company had to sell you a $200 product was this AI was so powerful.
Large action models concept and test results are so powerful that we decided to make a one-of-a-kind mobile device.
Yeah, that's not the excuse you're using now. Now it's a way to avoid e-waste. If that's actually how they sold it, though, we need the space for the power. That's so stupid, especially with how tech changes. If anything, that would almost make their entire argument stupid on its face, because they're not going to be able to pack enough information in there or enough power in there for it not to be outdated within a year or 3 if you want to be generous. I don't feel like being generous, so I'll say 5 days.
Yeah, lamb was the justification for this hunk of plastic. But where is
plastic.
It? They say it's here now.
It's an app.
He said it was going to be controlling your app.
But he's getting to that now.
But it's not. It's hard-coded, pre-written Playwright scripts. And look, the best Rabbit at this point can argue, and it's hard to falsify or verify, is that Lamb might be part of the process of creating those automation hard-coded scripts for Playwright. As in, like, no, it's not live controlling your web browser or their web browser, but it can create the code that does it. Maybe that's...
This is part of where I think the dividing line between being a scam that is civil and he can get sued for, that Jesse and his company can be taken to court for, is not nearly as damning. It's bad. If someone sues him, they will get their money. They might get damaged for having to waste it and having to do the court fees. But this is not, I'm stealing your money. It is, I'm giving you a bad product. This is bad business. This is not scamming the investors, because scamming people versus scamming the investors is unfortunately a very big difference. Scamming people is mostly handled civil until it gets big enough. And for $200, they'll probably even leave it at small claims court unless they do a class action, which probably might be a thing depending on how many people got this. The investors is probably bigger though, because fewer people, more money. It's just a better time proposition on that one. And if any of the people who bought this see this video, they have a lot of reasons why they could probably get their money back if they don't just get a refund or bring him to court, because they're like, you know what, you wasted my time. I want compensation for that as well. Might be hard, but they could probably get their money back if they don't just get the refund. But it doesn't feel like it's crossed into something where this guy can be held to account as an actual con artist, as a scammer yet. Beyond just being a shit business person who is over-promising and under-delivering. It's gone past incompetence, so I think they could get their money, but we don't have the smoking gun yet. We don't have the internal dialogue saying, yeah, just don't do this, or showing that there was never any development. There probably wasn't. We can assume there wasn't. We'll probably be right. But something in writing, something in the process, getting someone on the record from the company, even if they're disgruntled or former, maybe not as helpful, but that would be so useful to say, hey, yeah, there is no development team. Or something in the contract they sent to the investors. I harped about that so much last time, but it's so massively important, because knowing the terms that people invested under, knowing if there was a promised return on investment, especially, this is incredibly important. It takes it from this is bad, you can get your money back, to this is bad, and we're going to make sure he doesn't do it again. Take your remedy at that point. There's a lot that could be done.
That's what they're going to argue. But guess what? Playwright already has a tool for this. It's called CodeGen, where it watches what you do and just automatically creates the automation code for you. No fancy AI
Still
required.
Kind of creepy.
So I think the best thing you could say at this point about Jesse and Rabbit is that they vastly overpromised and underdelivered. The worst you could say is this is consumer fraud. Because even...
I mean, you could probably make that claim right there, but depending on how much $3 million investment, they might take it.
Considering the possibility, and it is one, that Lamb is a real research project that's not ready, why lie about it being here now? Why?
I mean, the reason is they're the same thing that every con artist and marketing person lies. Telling people what they want to hear, that this is the greatest thing ever, gets them to give you money. And then you can make it up later. Hell, it's the same reason most video games ship broken now. Because money now, fix it if we get enough. Or in a lot of cases, fix it when... that's funny, we're not.
Why not come clean and admit that whatever you're doing today is not what you originally advertised? This
because
is
then they
not
might have to fix
a new
it
foundational
instead of just
AI
dropping and say we failed.
Like
moving
a human. It's ChatGPT with an auto clicker. But there's one last thing I want to say. I was able to speak with an employee who worked for Rabbit.
Oh, he did.
And on the condition of anonymity, what they told me was that Lamb as advertised does not exist.
Yeah.
And that Lamb was a, quote, marketing term.
And there we go. That has the potential to be damning. I say potential because if someone wanted to get this in court, they would need this person to go on the record. And while they might remain anonymous still, they could give anonymized information. They'd have to be willing to talk to people, and there's always the chance they could be found out at that point. If they cut off any further information at Coffeezilla, even if it's damning, that's about it. But saying marketing term does imply there was no research, and everything said about it was wrong. If a single one of the investors had in writing Lamb in there and not some workaround that wasn't in the writing but was in the over-the-top bullshit in-person videos, that is the gun, the smoking gun that would very much trip this from give me my money back to give me my money back, and also, how do you like jail time?
Now, given that this was a very serious accusation, I reached out one final time to the Rabbit team to hear their response.
Below is a statement that can be attributed to Rabbit in response to your inquiries. Given the approach and allegations in your first video. Oh, this is after. This is within the last week. So they were aware of the video and they're phrasing this knowing that happened. This is very recent. This is not something he already had waiting in the wings. And your treatment of the previous responses we provided, it is clear that you are not interested in taking a balanced or objective approach. Okay, this is bullshit argument. Whenever you say balanced, it's like, well, maybe it's not a scam. See, I'm playing devil's advocate because I just like giving that extra point to give some context. What he's doing is a journalistic deep dive where you just give the facts, not your opinion on them. It's a very different thing. Right here, they're taking an ingenuous approach to balance as, here's why I believe it's a scam, but here's all the reasons it might not be a scam. That's not what he's doing. He's showing you evidence and showing that it is a scam. He doesn't need to disprove his own point. Or in working with us in good faith, you're not working with them at all. So you can find the statement to your question copy below. Beyond that, we won't have any further guidance for you. What's the statement? Did they not even post it? Did they seriously not even post anything below? Was it a picture of a middle finger? Oh no, here it is. Rabbit stands behind this product, technology, and vision to build a personalized operating system that can understand users' intentions and intuitively... This is on its face absolutely wrong, and he has already shown that. But he's shown that in this video, not the one they would have been reacting to. Which is why he put it at the end, because every single person reading this would know that they're lying. Whoever's doing this, if this is Jesse or someone in his team, not so much that they should be fired, but they should legitimately consider going to those non-extraditable locations right now. Our technology approach can be seen in Rabbit's patent. They file patents. Which are public, are focused on protecting the customers and our data. Because of this, engineering often only has access to part of the system. The design of segregation allows us to focus on areas each team excels in while also protecting our most valuable intellectual property from unauthorized access or, in worst case, theft. Which is also wrong because people got into your system and found out it was all bullshit, which means there was no segregation because you could access everything through it by jailbreaking to play Doom. This part, though, if they actually filed a patent, if they're not lying about it, that means they have something in writing saying this is how our product works, in writing that we paid the patent office to show is ours so no one else can use it. And if that isn't what they're actually using, that right there, saying that, hey, we have this patent, is a smoking gun. Maybe not the best one because they just say, well, we differentiated from them and haven't got around to filing the new patent, which is stupid and absolutely ridiculous, but it could be argued. I think it's a stupid losing argument, but you could argue that. But having something in writing outside of their internal control in the patent office, that is provable to show. Here's what you said you have. Here's what you actually have. Not the same. Oh, that is damning. The secret ingredient is crime indeed. I mean, you look at this and every step of the way, it's showing that Coffeezilla built up. Here's what the Rabbit says it can do. Here's why it doesn't work. Here's how you go into the prompts and find out it wasn't supposed to work. Here's someone going on the record to say the big term they're all building everything on does not exist. It's a marketing term. And finally, the claim that there's a patent. That right there is really showing that someone there is either being lied to or it was all lies at every step of the way, which admittedly we know which one I believe. It's the every step of the way lie part. There's a few things that could be bad, could be worse. And the case for a civil suit against this guy to get your money back, probably a slam dunk at this point. Civil, though, is looking like a possibility because if they filed a patent and any of their investment was aware of that, if they reference the patent and that's not what's in the rabbit, which we know for a fact it won't be, because if they patented the rabbit, it would be not something they could patent because they're not actually doing something different. They're using off-the-shelf components, which only matters if they're patenting something unique. And if it's not unique, they don't patent it. Or, well, they shouldn't, but the patent system is kind of a joke. But it would be easier to do that when you talk about investor relations and say, hey, we have this patent on this crazy technology. Here's what it does, because here's these videos of it. That right there would be the lie that probably trips it over. Would it be enough? I don't know. But it wouldn't be a matter of, well, shit, we're not even going to try and touch this shit. I don't know where they're going to go next. I just want Coffeezilla to get some kind of documentation from the investors to show what their terms were. I harped on that a ton in the first video, and I'm going to stand by it here because between what the Rabbit is doing, what they sold as their bill of product to the investors is probably the only thing that would really keep it from going, yeah, this is definitely a scam, but we're not sure if it's civil only or civil and criminal, to, oh, yeah, no, you're fucked. Basically what I'm saying is, if you haven't already, link below video, hit it up. And if the third one comes out within the next 5 days like the last one did, let me know. This how I found out about this one right away, because literally people within the hour of it coming out started telling me. I appreciate that. Thank you. So I'll see you guys in what will probably be the next one. It might come out in the next week when they realize, oh, fuck. I'm looking forward to this. Again, link below video. Hit it up. I'll see you guys later. Adios.